So, Paul, what do you do? What do you do? Like, what are your experiences actually physically entering the convention? We talked about our Magneto Bridge, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, depending on which way you're coming from, where you're staying, what car or where you parked your car, you're going to come up over that bridge. Mm-hmm. You could come at the convention center for a number of different ways. It's mostly just based on where you're staying or where you parked or what have you. But what's it like once you cross whatever barrier and you're going into the convention?
Usually you're waiting in line right for the exhibit hall for preview night. Maybe you're waiting for like the exhibit hall, or maybe you're waiting for Hall H. But generally, it's know where you want to go. For instance, if you want to do Hasbro, make sure you enter. I think it's Lobby C, because it's closest to the Hasbro line.
And just the way for those of you who've never been, Hall H, you enter outside. You line up outside, and it's sort of tented off, but it goes well beyond those tents. But that's where you line up there. For entering the exhibit hall or a lot of the things inside, you go into the lobby and then up into the second floor, and it wraps you all the way around until essentially.
Yeah. Oh, the sales pavilion.
Yeah,
what it's called.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. And then you go through there all the way around, and just basically, thousands and thousands of people will stack up and fill that in until 9:30, whatever time it is that they open up the floor. So that's kind of what you're dealing with to get in. Up until they started sending us, now they're awesome and send these little awesome packets, right? They didn't do this a few years ago. You had to go get your passes. You'd have to go to the convention. And that's another thing, thank God you don't have to plan for it anymore. It was such a pain that you then have to go get your badges and do this and that. And that was just as of last year was the first year, I think, that they stopped that. 2 years ago, I think they were still doing it.
Last year was the first one where they mailed it out.
Yeah, they mailed it out. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
And this year they upped their game, because last year was just in an envelope. So this is really cool. So point being is they did simplify the process, and it took them 35 years to learn whatever it is. But essentially then you're going up through. So what you then have is people are shuffling along, and then you get to those escalators from that second floor to go down to the exhibit hall. And then people start to run. And people start to sprint. And people are taking off and going. And
they're just whoa, it's intense.
Yeah, it really is.
And I would say when you're actually in the exhibit hall, a lot of people make the mistake of going by the entrances and running, or they go the middle. Usually it's very congested. What I recommend doing is going all the way to the back, because it's less congested, and then going to where you need to go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's essentially if if you've ever been to LA, you're dealing with traffic. You don't go down a main drag like Olympic or Figueroa. People in LA know those streets. You go 2 streets over.
You go
one no one knows.
A little bit further down.
You go, so you find a throughway that'll be less crowded, which is just generally good advice at the convention, because you'll need a moment at times, and you can just step out of a crowd, and especially when you have a little Asian woman as your wife that is being dragged behind you, which is my experience with Judy. It's nice to just find the quieter throughway. But basically then what you're going to do is then sprint off to whatever you're trying to get to. And at the start of those, that's when it's kind of collecting time, which we'll focus on in a later video. But it's essentially people shooting off and getting in what line. And if you're in a line, people will be asking you if it's this line or that line, or which one it is.
It's a madhouse.
And when they get the right line, they'll be asking you, did they sell out of this thing already? And you're like, I don't know yet. I just got here. So that's the battle you'll be fighting there with getting in. So
especially the Hasbro line. There are times when people have gotten there a minute after they open, and everything they close the line off already.
It's just insane.
And it's closed off for the day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to kind of hover around the Hasbro line because they'll let people in throughout the day. I don't recommend doing that because it kind of congests that area.
Walking the floor. So we kind of touched on this a little bit. What's it like walking the floor?
It's wonderful. It's every single fandom.
Honestly, that's my favorite thing about Comic-Con. There's panels that are cool, there's this and that, but I just enjoy just walking the floor. As crowded as it can be, that's just the coolest part. Just walking through.
I think, there's every single fandom that you could think of is represented in some way at Comic-Con. Even people that are not into, pretty much anybody could find something that they love at Comic-Con. And I think that's the great thing about it. It's just it brings all these people together into this one space. And if you like Star Wars, or you like Game of Thrones, or you like Star Wars,
And it's cool too because all of those things are represented in really dynamic ways where you have, a 20-foot tall transformer over top of a booth, or you walk into the Star Wars booth, and last year was all the costumes from Rogue One. Across the room here where we're recording, I have a Mega Man thing that there'll be, if there's Capcom will have a big Street Fighter tournament or something, like, and the displays for these things are just awesome, and it's just like part of the highlight is just seeing what it'll look like this year. Like Warner Brothers, all these big companies, Lionsgate, Weta, Gentle Giant, even the toy companies, even like Hasbro and Mattel. It's just cool to see how they display. And Hasbro, for example, does really cool displays with the action figures. Like, there's like essentially where you go on the floor to buy it, but then there's also a section like across from that that's almost like a little museum of the toys that are then on for sale. And other toys that'll be coming out that year and stuff. And it's just like that stuff all over the place. Like the sideshow collectibles, the Hot Toys stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love Hot Toys. Like, that's my thing.
When you walk through, you can just see all of these amazing different things. And then, of course, like all the people in costume and just that really go out and, like, go all out. And this is their one day of the year, rather, or weekend or week, really, that their most elaborate costume possible. I have a few friends that I know that do, like, different costumes every day. I'm hot enough right now recording this, so I cannot imagine. And we have the air conditioning on. And I cannot imagine.
It just needs a sweat.
Yeah.
Just go.
And I cannot imagine wearing a Stormtrooper costume or something like that, or Chewbacca, or
no.
anything.
Maybe Slave Leia could do that. That'd be pretty.
I don't think I could pull that one off.
I think you could. I could.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe next year if I work out 8 hours a day every day between now and then.
I think that the most important thing to do, like if you have a preview night ticket, is get that one exclusive that's gonna make or break your con.
Yeah.
And then walk around, get the lay of the land, kind of like figure out where stuff is. Where the different booths are.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, it's...
You don't want to spend all the preview night just waiting in line. You're kind of...
and preview night, it's a little bit less crowded, so you can actually sort of enjoy the floor a little bit more.
Yeah. Barely,
but a little bit. So you can just walk around in a more relaxed atmosphere and just, like, take it all in. But, yeah, Paul's advice is great. Get that thing you really, really, really want, and then... just kind of hang out, and also use it as a little bit of a strategy session for like how you're going to do the next day or so.
Because if you're like you need to get something in the Funko booth, and you don't know where it is, you're going to lose a lot of time trying to find where it is. But if you went on preview night and know where the booth is and know the lay of the land, then you're good.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, Josiah is right, as is Paul.
Yeah.
So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Please share what are your experiences from having gone to Comic-Con, or what would you dream it would be like in a perfect world?
And you know what? If you see us there, just say hi.
Yeah.